A lot of you in the Cocoduck Army have been through your share of changes in thinking about the big cosmic questions, or maybe even more than your share. Some of you have hopped from one religion to another many times before getting to where you are now. I've noticed that a couple fairly well-known Christian YouTubers have publicly left the faith recently, and I'd like to explore that a bit. There was also an interesting case recently of an atheist blogger who converted to religion. Judging by the trend line of polls regarding faith in the Western world, that seems to be a much rarer event, though. I long for the day when we will have to be reminded that ad populum arguments are fallacious. Leah Libresco was an atheist blogger who converted to Catholicism recently. I'd never heard of her until several media outlets had interviews with her that seemed more like congratulatory parties, but apparently she was well known. I read her explanation for her conversion, and it seems that she had long since decided that there is an objective morality, and that morality comes from a central source outside of humanity. Now, to me, that sounds like an atheist who's just searching for the right religion to join, not an atheist who's really decided that they'll only believe in what has evidence to back it up. Those of you who have been around a while may also remember someone named the Woodsof, who left a religion he was dissatisfied with and proclaimed himself an atheist with much fanfare. Then he promptly joined the next religion that made him feel wanted, and I made a video about it. You're still vulnerable to conversion if evidence for belief still isn't necessary. On YouTube, good old Veritas 48, who was a Christian apologist just a couple years ago, recently came out as an atheist in an interview with his friend Theoretical Bullshit. He's a guy who I remember well from when I started making videos, and the video I did in response to his 5 Questions for Atheists video was one of my earliest videos, which in hindsight seems so silly and campy that it's almost embarrassing, but it's still up if you really want to see it. I suggest you watch his interview though, and you will learn what brought him to the understanding that Christianity is not based in reality. Plus, it's got a lot of hardcore philosophy in it if you're into that sort of thing. Then in the most interesting development to me personally, there's my friend Daniel, commonly known as MrRepzion on YouTube. Daniel recently switched from Christianity to deism, just months after detailing his belief in Christianity on YouTube, and had been Christian for much of his life. I did a video about him a few months ago and talked about some of the reasons why I thought his reasons for belief wouldn't pass muster with anyone who was reasonably skeptical, including his father's illness and other life events that he talked about. However, I also pointed out that I thought he was a really good person with admirable humanist tendencies, regardless of what many others of the same faith advocated for, and recommended that you subscribe to him. I think that in much the same way that the atheist blogger had a belief that almost inevitably pulled her toward religion, Daniel feels so strongly about humanity that he inevitably had to break from religion. Then his theist friends proved my point. I guess it should have been no surprise that Daniel's friend Brock Lawley, a Christian apologist who I've met before actually, made a video to Daniel where he tries to convey his disappointment in him, using every kind of emotional manipulation tactic possible, accusing him of deconverting out of vanity, or because TJ made him do it, or because he's become of the world, as those who want us to ignore the real world we live in favor of their magical world always tell us. Another friend of his named Roger made a video where he brought up almost the exact same points, in addition to telling him that sharing his life on YouTube was of no substance. I thought Daniel handled their nonsense very civilly in his video, especially considering how condescending and insulting they were being. Brock and Roger, we already know you both care a great deal about religion, and your concept of God and what you think he wants all of us to do, but you can't make videos like that to Daniel, a supposed friend, and pretend you really care about people too. Nothing like leaving a religion to find out who your friends really are.